でいなくなったら静香ちゃんものすごい笑顔にしてみせるっぴ幸せだったっぴ
This fucking octopus.
静香ちゃんは
Fucking crying
僕
over
の
an
大切な
octopus,
君へ
man. What's up, everybody? Today we are here to react to the final episode of Takopi's Original Sin. So this is kind of special, I think. This is probably our first ever reaction to a show completely ending. Like, no more future seasons on the table or anything, because this is pretty much a complete story, despite the way I'm formatting it as season 1 or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty monumental, I guess. I took a look at the runtime of the episode. Unfortunately, it is only 22 minutes long, so my kind of theory slash hope of the finale being a kind of like 1 hour special, just like the premiere was incorrect. So it's going to be interesting to see how they wrap this all up in 20 minutes. Before we jump into it, I do kind of want to bask in this special occasion and talk about things. I want to address some of the, maybe like one theory we had, since this is the end. We're going to see if it comes true or not. Some things I missed in the previous episode, and what is it? One moment in the last episode that might be one of my favorite scenes now, but I'm not even sure if it was intentional on behalf of the writer or creators or whatever. So this is going to be a long introduction. If you guys don't want to hear me talk blab for a while, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the actual reaction in the seeking bar or whatever. I trust your ability to do that. So first off, two really obvious details that I missed in the last episode were that I didn't notice that they were apparently using one of Takopi's tools to sneak onto the boat and steal all the food on the way to Tokyo, doing everything all slick and easy like. Apparently there was a tool that made her like invisible or something, but I actually don't even remember that being introduced, because I could have swore I made a comment about how I joked about how like a Harry Potter-esque cloak of invisibility would come in handy. But I'm pretty sure they never actually introduced anything like that. So I'm not quite sure where that came from, but I read a comment that that's what was being used, and that's how she was able to sneak onto the boat to Tokyo as a child. And it makes sense too, because she was able to steal the food from the vendor market guy, and apparently they didn't notice. So yeah. Second very obvious detail I didn't notice was that Shizuka survived her suicide attempt in the original timeline without Takopi there, because the rope snapped, and I didn't even realize that the reason the rope snapped was because she used like a normal rope as opposed to the happy ribbon that Takopi gave her when he came into her life. This actually kind of connects to what else I want to talk about, which is how much I was trying to dissect what the sin of Takopi's was in the last episode, trying to find out exactly what it was. But I feel like after reading some comments, I wasn't considering it from this point of view, but it very well might be intentionally open to interpretation, the title, what his sin is exactly, or his original sin. That kind of specifies it a bit, but a lot of people are saying like his original sin is just being born or like existing, which kind of takes it back to like the very classic religious philosophical debates about original sin and stuff like that. So I'm open to accepting that as the interpretation. And the reason why I say that connects to what I was just talking about with Takopi giving her the ribbon and ending up causing her actual death from her suicide attempt is that wording right there kind of also is an example of his original sin just being existing or being there. This also coincidentally links into the last thing I want to talk about, which is one of my favorite scenes now, but I don't even know if it is like intentional. The part I really like about it was the scene last episode after Marina kills her mom. Then Takopi walks in, and I guess it's not really clear if she notices that he wasn't there the whole time or not. But she says that really poignant line about, oh, you were there all along, or you're there or whatever. So that wording right there also connects into this original sin concept of just being there, just existing, which is really cool as well in terms of how symmetrically conceptual it's making everything. But the reason why I really like that line and scene in retrospect is because I think it really plays well into the imagery of Takopi as his character design, which is something I've been kind of honestly conflicted about because I've been saying all this time that Takopi is my favorite character, which remains true because I feel like his arc is the most well written. There's the most nuanced stuff going around his character with the whole, including the whole original sin stuff. Like, it makes you think about how we can, or how helpless we are at saving such victims, and how, you know, it's crazy. It makes us wonder if we could really pull it off. Like, could we save them even if we take them literally out of the bad situation they're in and quote unquote save them from that? It doesn't give them the psychological or spiritual salvation. Like, people like Shizuka could still end up being permanently twisted from what they experience. So then they're just this crazy murderous child that you don't even know how to supervise or like help reform, quote unquote, back into society. So yeah, obviously Takopi's scenario is kind of the most interesting one from a complication aspect. But the reason why I'm kind of conflicted with how much I like him, and I like really like him, like I'm planning on like, I kind of want to buy like a plush of him and stuff, or like some kind of merch to just honor um my experience of watching the show and really liking him. But what was I gonna say? I'm conflicted because I have a hard time coping with how much I like him because of his character design as like an unrealistic cute mascot alien. And sometimes you kind of just gotta feel like, oh, it's unfair that he's this cute, because they're just, it's kind of like that cheap writing technique of like making a kid character who is just like so wise and mature beyond their years that you can't help but love them because, oh, I've never seen a kid act this mature. It's so commendable that they've grown up this early on. But then you got to realize that it's like fiction, so it's just basically this adult writer cheating and injecting their own, you know, decades of life experience into a fictional underage character that makes you like them because they're that mature and wise for being underage, but they're not really that underage because they're fake. They're a fictional character. With the character like Takopi, that effect is multiplied because not only is he like young, he's cute as hell. So, you know, when it's like visceral the way we react to him when he's doing stuff like tearing up or going, no, that's unfair, when his mom was saying that she was gonna wipe his memory. So it's it's complicated. It's a pretty interesting phenomena, especially with anime and Japanese culture, because they've like really cultivated this culture of moe characters. So that's that. I don't think I concluded with the point I was trying to make. Right. So the reason why the scene with Marina saying you're still there is retrospectively one of my favorites now, is because it plays on Takopi's cute character design, where he looks like this basically plushy toy. And like the way I imagined it or interpreted when I was rewatching it, editing the reaction, was that he's kind of like a plush that a child is given, and like it becomes their like best imaginary friend, and they talk to it and whatnot, and it's usually given to them by their parents. Then it's just always in the household, like maybe on a shelf or something. So it really borrowed that imagery to show that like it's kind of like that plushie, with how much symbolic importance it has to the family overall. The parents gave it to the child uh confides in it as like a best imaginary friend. It like frames it as like a fly on the wall that is always there in the household, but none of the people are actually acknowledging it when they're doing their like people drama. It's observing the whole time, and then after the fight ends and like that tension is like subsided a bit, the child notices that it's still there, and it's like that fly on the wall that saw the whole thing. So it's kind of really cool, I think. But I don't know if it was intentional, because it's basically turning that plush into an actual, sapient, sentient character that interacts with the child after they've gone through their really traumatic experience with their parents. And yeah, it's like the only thing that they can confide in after that. But in this case, it's a real thing. All right, guys, so that's going to cover it for my thoughts. Going into the finale here, we are now, without further ado, going to jump right into the episode. I am pressing play in 3, 2, 1. Oh, is this Shizuka's parents fighting? So her dad actually came home from Tokyo? Wait, that's Cheppy. Oh no, this is a flashback to when her parents first started breaking up. Dude, she's so cute as a child. This is before she got corrupted. Oh, something else I forgot to talk about was that, okay, cool. The opening's playing, so I can talk about one more point here. I mentioned in the previous reaction that, it was an obvious detail, but Shizuka and Marina said the same words about how, like, these days aren't so bad once Takopi came into their lives and started kind of brightening up their day a bit with his positivity. Kind of another aspect of that is that Marina named Takopi the same name Shizuka did, and admittedly it's not too uncommon a name, I guess, in the Japanese language. Like taco, of course, means octopus already, and P is kind of just like a pretty generic way to add a suffix to something to make it sound cute. But I feel like in the first episode when Shizuka named him, they said it was because she like reads a lot about animals or something. So that detail kind of makes me think it's like a bit of a stretch for Marina to name it the same thing if she doesn't have that same interest. So I feel like maybe that's another point that frames them as like they used to be friends, which in turn gives me confidence this is going to end in a happy way and have them like reuniting as friends. Okay, so Takopi actually did get knocked out from that rock attack. I thought he didn't. He just like flew away or something. But she knocked him out and she was gone by the time he was awake. So I guess he flew back to here to try to find her. Come help me! Together we can fix everything! Takopi's so fucking cute, man. This is what I'm talking about, man. They can't just do this to us with this cute ass voice and character design and him tearing up. And him talking like a little kid. Oh, his brother, his older brother's heroic action. He's gotta pay it forward now. Dang, I wasn't on board with them having an antagonistic relationship at the beginning, but it's definitely paying off here, the contrast now, with them having to be the ones to fix. Oh, actually, because of that now, I don't think Azuma's actually going to be part of the resolution. It looks like the camera. Takopi's going to use the camera one more time, maybe, to fix everything by himself or something.
今日も一瞬だけって泣き出してきたんだ。
目のやつ前と違うピね。
Oh wow, they're
人間は
explicitly
大きくなると目のやつ
referencing the eye thing.
最後のバイト代。
Oh, he's talking about the glasses. I thought he was talking about the star effect in his pupils, where it used to be hearts.
俊也、大学行けないかもしれない。
Wait, he's not going to be able to go to college just because of the drama with the family being associated with him?
なあタコ、一つだけハッピー星にはさ、時間巻き戻せる道具あんだろ。
Is he going to give him like a tip of what to do? Like one tip? Yeah.
もしも次の僕に会うことあったら、兄貴と喧嘩でもしてみろって。
Ooh. If he does that, it might be the butterfly effect that changes everything. It's like you can't tell the effect it'll have, but it might just have the ripple effect.
バイバイ、東くん。
Oh, this is sad imagery. Takopi just sitting here by himself. He's thinking though. He's thinking. Damn, you gotta wonder with this time skip. What was Shizuka doing? Oh, 2 young girls missing. Kidnapping case. Wait, did Shizuka kidnap her dad's other daughters? How would she be capable of doing that though? It looks like the article said they were found eventually though, so maybe she failed. Oh, it looks like she does have like all of his gadgets on her, so maybe she did something, or she was capable of pulling that off. Yo, they're not gonna tell us how much time passed, or was it just 2 seasons, I guess? From the snow and the whatever?
お話ししたいことがあるんだ。
Oh.
保健所の人の胃の中も調べなきゃ。
Oh, she's still on a...
現場の人が
She's still a man on the mission.
人を傷つけるようなことしちゃダメっぴ。静香ちゃんにしてほしくないっぴ。
Another thing I forgot to mention before we started was the title of the episode. I think it's the same as the previous episode, but it's just pluralizing
一人で大変なの知ってる。
to you guys in 2016.
じゃあどうすればよかったの？知らない人みたいな顔で私のこと見てたお父さん。私だけのお父さんじゃなくなってたらどうすればよかった？一人で船に乗っちゃダメって言われた。大人なんていないのに。どうすればよかった？って言われてもどこが臭いの？ママ教えてくれなかったじゃん。ねえ。パパと
Ow!
会えなくなったらどうすればいいの？
The fucking speech. Yo, this dude actually... Oh, I guess he's not in the human form, so maybe it doesn't hurt him as much. Because I was about to say, this probably hurts more than Marina's hits. Okay, I will say, I personally feel like this kind of crash out of hers is kind of too on the nose.
わかんないっぴ。
And maybe like more fitting for an adult, because I feel like a child
ここには難しくて。
would internalize stuff, but not know how to process it to the point where it's not like they hold it all in like this and then are able to clearly enunciate everything that bothered
何もしてあげられ
them.
なくてごめんぴ。静香ちゃんの気持ち僕全然わかんなかったのに。いつもお話聞かなくてごめんぴ。
P!
わかろうとしなくてごめんぴ。一人にしてごめんぴ。
So the octopus is gonna be her dad from now on, right?
うるさい。静香ちゃん。そんなこと言ったって。もうパパ戻ってこないじゃん。ママは私のこともう好きじゃないじゃん。チャッピーも戻らないじゃん。もう全部ダメなんじゃん。
Yo, this is crazy. We're already halfway through the episode. Damn, I feel like at this rate, they're just gonna do some kind of quick resolution where he like goes back in time and they just, you know, they won't really show the process. Only use when in serious trouble. Damn. This is both sad and cute at the same time. Is this all in the span of one day? I do like that they're kind of still framing Shizuka as his most important partner. Because for us, that's how it started, even though for him it didn't.
静香ちゃん、 僕幸せだっぴ。静香ちゃんと二人でずっと一緒にいられて。
Dang, we need a real resolution though. You can't just go like Thelma and Louise and have a road trip all by yourself to you two. That doesn't fix everything.
静香ちゃんに見せたい
Okay, special gadget.
あるんだっぴ。ハッピーカメラ。
Happy
これで写
camera.
真を撮って撮った瞬間に戻ることができるんだっぴ。
Okay, so she doesn't know about this because even though he introduced it in his timeline, when he used it,
で
she
もね
just
静香ちゃん、
forgets about it.
実は思い出してたんだっぴ。僕だから君にしてあげられること。
待って。
僕のハッピー力。
Oh no. This sounds
もう一度だけカメラが使えること。
sacrificial.
待って。ピンまでいなくなったら。
静香ちゃん、ものすごい笑顔にしてみせるっぴ。幸せだったっぴ。
This fucking octopus.
静香ちゃんが笑えないのは
私笑えるから。
Fucking crying
僕
over an
の大切な
octopus,
君へ
man.
本当に欲しいものが手に入る
My
ように。
dearest. Okay, I like that he's
静香ちゃん、ありがとう。一緒
still
に遊んで
closest
く
to
れて
Shizuka, but
ありがとう。
I mean, I kind of want him to at least give Marina a little side mention, at least.
あのパンをくれてありがとう。ありがとう、静香ちゃん。
Dude, why? Okay, they're making him crying because it makes sense for him to not want to depart with her, but it also makes me sad or paranoid that he's crying because he fears for the end of his own life, which just makes it that much more traumatic.
なんだっけ。
Episode 6 to all of you in 2006. Oh! The music made me think we were going back to Happy Planet. I wanted more lore.
おはよう、静香ちゃん。
What's going on? How's he talking
今
to
日は
her?
とってもいい天気。この子はマリナちゃん。意地悪するっぴけど、本当は。
てか今日は毒ダミつけてないんだ。
Wait, if she's realized?
今日
Oh
は
shit, I'm not following.
毒ダミ
Oh wait,
食悪い
I
ね
was about to say if she mentioned the pin, that means
そう
Takopi
そう
they have to
カズ
have
マくん
seen
それで
Takopi.
昨日兄ちゃんと喧嘩してお兄ちゃんいるんだ下手くそなくせに独り占めしてプレステ4
Wait, so if he got in a fight with the brother, that means did he actually confront him?
すげえいいな
So did Takopi's advice get through to him?
てかゲームとか好きなんだ
私も新しいの欲しいな
I'm having a hard time kind of tracking everything here.
ランキも早く行こ
Do you want to come to my house to play PS4?
君はいつも一人だったそしてそれは君も同じだった
Alright, 5 minutes
う
left.
にしろよ寄生虫
What was
お前が
the
いるからママは毎日泣いて
deciding factor to change everything?
全部返してよあの頃のパパとママを私の家族を
Oh, Takopi drawing. Oh, the plant. That's the same kind of plant that he was on her hair.
マリナ何それわかんないなんか適当なやつきっしょ気持ち悪い壊滅的にバカっぽい何もできなそうゴミクソって感じ何かしそういつも
Ah,
ついてきそうそれです
I
ず
mean,
っと話しかけてくる絶対帰んないのバカなのに
after all we've been
何もして
through,
くれないのに喋ってばっか
I
で
can't help but be happy that they're finally
お話がハッピーを生むんだっぴ
making
そう
up.
そうそれが一番大切
But
な
at
こ
the
と
same time, I don't think that was the best way to do it.
泣いてんのお前キモ
リナちゃんこそ
It's kind of feels like a cop out that they have like remnants of their experience with him, and then a simple
僕が
doodle
忘れて
connected
しまってい
them.
た一番大切な
But
約
let's see
束
if there's any other stuff that contributes. Because like
ごめんねママ
I
話
kind
で
of
き
would
な
have
くて
liked the Ozma thing to have a butterfly effect. I mean, I guess it kind of might have
太陽系第
did.
三惑星地球
I don't know.
6年の君たちへ
2016.
してあげられないことだらけだ君たちの離れてしまった家族やもう君を見ないママに君だけのものじゃないパパ
Dude, this is fucked up.
何にもできないけれど
I don't want Takopi to be gone forever.
君が
He doesn't even get to make up with his own
もう
mom.
一人じゃない君たちがきっと大人になれるように
Do
あ
not
りがとう
do not end like that.
バイバイ
Oh, don't end like that,
何
man.
見てんだよ。
なんでもない。
Yo, no, I don't like that actually. Fuck, no, I don't think I like that. Okay, let me skip ahead a bit here. Oh, fuck, there was something afterwards. I guess we'll have to edit this. Okay, they're teenagers now. We got Chappie still alive. Chappie looking like an old dog with
う
a
ち今日マ
well-lived
マや
life.
ばそうだからケーキ買って帰る。
マリナちゃんのママいつもやばいじゃん。
誰のせいだと思ってんだよ。お前んちよりはマシ。
Damn.
私アイシャドウ買いたい。
She got good enough to dodge her hits.
待って、これなんかに似てない？
なんだっけ。
五千ウサギのボールペン。って何それ？
知るか。
Oh shoot, I don't
お前
remember.
が言ったんじゃん。
What is the reference? That sounds vaguely familiar. Did they talk about a bunny before? Fuck, guys. That's the end of Takopi's original sin. I will say that I think it could have been better. I'm really dissatisfied with Takopi dying, for obvious reasons. But on top of that, though, I feel like kind of like the narrative reasons that he had to die weren't convincing enough for me to be retrospectively accepting of his death. I didn't really get what it was implying with the school scenes. Like, I think like Marina mentioned the flower hairpin thing, but it wasn't because she already saw it since he reversed the time. I think it was just her remnants of her experiences in those other timelines that made her kind of say that Freudian slipwise. I think that's also why the other bullies were like, well, what are you talking about? Because they didn't see it. Then for the Azuma scene, it felt like the fact that he was arguing with his brother at all about the PS4 means that the message he told Takopi to give himself did happen. I don't know how it could have happened though, because well, obviously what it omitted was that Takopi went back in time. Okay, the mechanics are also kind of weird because if he has to use his own life force just to activate the camera, that kind of implies that he kind of disappears and dies before he can actually like do anything in the time that he goes back to. So it's like he only sacrifices his life to rewind time, and then he's gone, and then it just gives everybody else a second chance to do things, right? That's what it feels like it should have been like logically, but obviously that's not what happened because he had to have done stuff himself to make an impact, and we saw, well, maybe we didn't see any clues that he did, because I was gonna say the doodle on the notebook, that was by Shizuka. For some reason I thought that, I assumed that might have been Takopi's drawing himself. So now I am kind of wondering, narratively, maybe the intention was that he just dies by using the camera, and then he can't actually do anything himself to do a butterfly effect, and then it's just their kind of like timeline, transcendent memories of him that bit by bit butterfly effect and pile up to make the difference. In that case, I actually don't know if I feel better or worse about that, because that kind of makes it feel like even more of a cop-out maybe if he didn't actually have to do anything other than turn time back, and then they just fixed everything for themselves without even knowing it because of a kind of like symbolic yeah, kind of like poeticism. But I guess we'll ignore that for now. Let me go back to what I was saying about Azuma. If he got into a fight with his brother, that means he did, because the way they depicted him in the original timeline, he wouldn't even like talk to his brother really. So I can't imagine him playing games with him if he didn't have a change of mindset. So it feels like he was able to have a change of mindset, but if Takopi didn't deliver the message to him because Takopi didn't exist anymore, how did that happen? It could just be the same explanation. He kind of had memories of the other timeline somehow because they transcended dimensions, and he knew he in his heart that he should interact with his brother more. Um, I'm a bit confused though why they depicted him as wanting to talk to Shizuka, but then not being able to reach her. Because I feel like the defaulted thing to do there was that he was able to talk to Shizuka, and through that little interaction at least she felt a little less alone, and that also like trickles or ripples into a bigger effect. So I'm not quite sure why they made it seem like he didn't reach her, which is extra weird because even in the original timeline when she was getting bullied, I think Azuma still at least was able to talk to her and like offer help, but that in the end still didn't really work in terms of saving her. So I'm not sure why they wouldn't even show him doing that much in the timeline here where she does kind of get saved, so to speak, but it's not like her being saved has to do with her own uh state of being. It was more that Marina saw the doodle and that opened an entry point for them to connect. So yeah, there's that. So and then in the end they reconcile because of the doodle that Shizuka drew because she misses Takopi subconsciously. I think writing wise, I think it could have been better. I think I would have preferred like almost any other of the possible options. Like I would have preferred Takopi doing something to actually change things. So like I don't know, instead of taking up his entire life force to use the camera, maybe I should have just used all of it or most of it, and he was like moving on borrowed time, so to speak, and then he worked quick to do some butterfly effect stuff to change things. That, or I would have preferred if him going back in time in and delivering Azuma's message to himself maybe would have been a butterfly effect into everything else. I didn't really like how quickly and easily Marina came over. She turned a new leaf just from seeing that doodle. I mean, I can understand the welling of emotions when they start reminiscing about Takopi's effect on them subconsciously from their experiences in another timeline. I understood the emotionality of that, but at the same time, yeah, I'm not too much a fan of the writing that led into that. I'm really sour about not only Takopi dying, but him not even getting to follow up with his mom. Because I feel like even the way it ended in the last episode, her saying, "Why were you so rough to me? I hope that you come and talk things out with me so that we can understand each other," was kind of cluing us in for a follow-up, but it didn't happen. And that's just so sad too. Also, honestly, so sad. It's so fucked up. And they didn't, I mean, beyond that, they didn't really explain any of the lore. I did say at the before we started the episode that I'm okay with the interpretation of his original sin being vague and open to interpretation, but if it's gonna be like if the wording of sin was only in the title, that would be fine. But in the actual story, the mom explicitly states how he sinned. So because the characters in universe explicitly acknowledge it or reference it, then I feel like it should be elaborated upon. How does the happy planet rules work? Like, it felt like she was saying it was a sin for him to come back alone, but their original mission as a species, or maybe it was just his own personal mission is to go to other planets and spread happiness. So why would it be a sin for him to come back to the planet alone? Like, I would understand if it was like you came back before you completed your mission, but alone kind of, I don't know, it kind of implies like almost like a dark twist where like you're supposed to capture someone from that planet that you go to and bring them back so they can be our slave or some shit. And yeah, how did the rules work, man? Why are the devices, why can they be fueled by their life force? Yeah, I think writing-wise, I would have preferred him, because instead of reintroducing the camera at all, I feel like he should have just taken the rocket back home, had one more interaction with his mom to resolve things on that end, then use the happy clock time machine on their planet to go back. Which is kind of a repeat, so it might feel redundant of what he did when he failed Marina. But at the same time, if he clears things up with his mom to the point where she actually lets him do it this time, allows him to use the device, then that feels like a good story structure, because it's doing the same thing, but it's the character that was against it acknowledges it this time, and they're doing it for like the right reasons. Everybody understood, and everybody understands the MO this time. And then we also get him making up with his mom, dropping some more lore on the happy planet and how they work and stuff. And yeah, that would have been better, I think, instead of it kind of felt a bit forced for him to be like, oh, you dropped the camera, or sorry for stealing the camera from you, I'm going to give it back to you at this very convenient time. So yeah, whew, there's that. I mean, I'm glad that it ended happily. No, it didn't end happily. that wasn't too happy. Just because they're friends as teenagers, I don't think that counteracts completely that Takopi dies. I'm actually kind of surprised that they don't show Azuma as... Did they show him as a teenager? Even if they did, I feel like they should have at least shown him being friends with them too, as like a trio as in their teenage years. And then, let me think. In the original timeline with Marina, Shizuka doesn't die from the suicide, and they both make it into their teenage years, and that gives that setup potential for them to eventually make up. So, like, you could argue that that is a better timeline than the one we ended with, other than the fact that Marina, of course, kills her mom and kills herself. But you could argue that only happens because Takopi gets involved. So if Takopi didn't get involved and set her up with Azuma, or put her in the love-chasing mind to hook up with Azuma and then be heartbroken about it, and her mom crashing out about him not showing up to the date, then you could argue that Takopi not getting involved at all, that timeline has a better potential for them to all make up eventually, and Takopi gets to stay alive. And that's better than the timeline we ended with, because Takopi isn't dead. So that kind of also just traces back to the ambiguity of the title of his, in regard to his original sin just being existing, which is very interesting. I feel like it would have been better though if they acknowledged that then. Like, what if they just had him go, oh, if I didn't get involved at all, they had the potential to fix it themselves, because they kind of did fix it themselves in the end that we got, but it's because of Takopi's influence on them. So what do you guys think? Is it better story-wise? Would it have been better story-wise for him to acknowledge that and kind of maybe more on the nose state out the theme of the show of the original sin being his existence and presence in their lives, then he kind of like deletes himself from their lives? Or should he have the effect on them, leave the effect on them, but die, which is kind of what life is, right? When we die, we just We just leave the effect we have on other people. What was I about to say also? I think that's really cool. It's another thing, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I think it would have been really cool to associate that with the thing I was talking about at the beginning of the reaction, where by nature his character design as like this overly fictitious character mascot thing, it's like it's unfair. It doesn't exist in real life, right? It shouldn't exist. So that kind of plays into the sin of his existence. So I think that would have been a really cool thing to tie into if the writer felt inclined to tell us a story with themes like that. But yeah, you could argue that the work itself is just great because it's able to make you think about these things. So it should get brownie points for that, even though it didn't portray those things itself directly. And yeah, guys, that was Takopi's Original Sin. I will be honest, I do think, despite how much it's making me think and interpret, I have to judge the episode for what it is, what it presented. While I didn't really quite think the ending was ideal, the way it ended was ideal, I still enjoyed it for the most part, but at the same time, I have to say that the finale is probably the weakest episode, but it's hard to frame that, excuse me, as a diss, because it's not because it was that bad. It's just that we've been like lauding how every single episode up to this point has been so consistently just as good as the previous, if not better. So this series overall has like one of the most impressively consistent runs of like all time, probably. Unfortunately, the kind of final episode faltered a bit and ends up being the weakest one for me. But yeah, I think that's equal parts kind of just like a commendation of the show overall. Overall, I think this should easily end up top 10 anime of the year for me. I think I want to say in like, say we're imagining like an ideal year of anime where like we have a bunch of bangers that deserve to be in our top. I would say I would want this show to be somewhere around like 5 or 7, number 5 or 7 top 10 anime of the year. We'll see if that comes true, I guess. If there's no other bangers this year or not that many bangers this year, it might end up lower than that in terms of the actual number, not quality. So it might be, 1 to 4 or whatever. I think for this current season of the stuff I'm watching, I would say objectively it probably is the best show this season. I was kind of thinking about this a few weeks ago. I was like, I'm watching City the animation, which is like so good, but in like a completely different way. So I don't know if I could say which one is better off the top of my head. But after thinking about it some more, I felt like City it's so good, but it's like ultimately doesn't touch on as nuanced themes that I had to give to Takopi. So yeah, Takopi probably is the best of the season, but at the same time, I haven't started every show of the season. I feel like I've started most of the ones I had expectations for and I thought would be good, so I can maybe quite confidently say, even though I haven't seen all of the other shows this season, Takopi is the best. And yeah, I'm gonna mourn Takopi one more time. Man, it sucks. It died. I can only hope that in their race, their planet or something, they don't die the same way humans do, and he just like reformed as like some spirit and was reborn or something and was able to live on his happy planet eating his happy fruits and stuff and make up with his mom. That was Takopi's Original Sin. 6 episodes. Finale. What a ride. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace out. We'll see you for the next octopus-related show, maybe.